Good afternoon, everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Dimas Prasetyo Aji. I am a student of master degree from Chemistry Department, University of Indonesia. In this opportunity, I'd like to introduce to you all about the 21st and 22nd amino acids. It is selenocysteine and pyrrolysine. So this is the outline of my presentation. The first one is the overview of protein synthesis, and the structure of new amino acids, discovery of new amino acids, the synthesis of new amino acids, and the last is metabolism and role of new amino acids. Before explaining about amino acids, I'd like to recall the material about overview of protein synthesis. Protein synthesis occurs in two stages. It is transcription and translation. Transcription meaning the reading of the code on the DNA, which consists of so many DNA, and the reading is done by the mRNA in the nucleus. After that, the mRNA will go to the ribosome for the process translation. The tRNA brings the correct sequence of amino acids based on the code on the mRNA. After that, each of the tRNA has specific amino acids, and then this amino acids will be bound together by the help of rRNA. Each amino acid is spelled by at least 3 mRNA letter called codon. So this is the illustration of the synthesis of the protein. There is a gene which consists of a chain of DNA. After that, the mRNA read the code and copy the code and brings it to the ribosomes. After that, the tRNA will bring the corresponding amino acids to the ribosomes, and it will bound together to form the proteins. Okay, and each combination of letters has its own amino acids, such as in this table. So it shows the possible combination of 3 letters to form amino acids. And based on the table on the right, there is no room for additional amino acids because every combination has its own a couple of amino acids. But is it true that there is no additional room for amino acids? The fact is there are new amino acids from these codes, which is selenocysteine and pyrrolysine. It is coded by UGA and UAG, which is widely known as the stop codon. So how does it work? How can the stop codons encode the new amino acids? I will explain it later in the mechanism of synthesis of this amino acids. Before going further, I will make it clear first between the difference of proteinogenic amino acids and non-proteinogenic amino acids. There are 2 kinds of amino acids. The proteinogenic means it is the amino acid which construct the protein. It can be gained through the lysis of the protein or the breakdown of the protein, and it also can build the new protein. But the non-proteinogenic amino acids, it's not the amino acids which construct the protein. It is usually just an intermediate product from a biosynthetic pathway or like a biological process in the body. So it is not protein. It cannot make the protein. And all the 22 amino acids which we know so far is the proteinogenic amino acids. This diagram shows the illustration about how the 22 amino acids is just the small part of the all amino acid in the nature. Now we have 22 amino acids. Every amino acid has the same structure, there is a similarity of the structure. It is the generic backbone, which consists of the carboxylic functional group and then the amine functional group. The position is separated by alpha. It means that it is separated by one carbon. And the difference between amino acids is just the side chain, or it is symbolized by R in this image. And these are the side chain of 20 amino acids, which all known so far, from glycine until serine. And this is the new amino acids, selenocysteine and pyrrolysine. This is the side chain of the structure of this selenocysteine and pyrrolysine. Now we go to the structure of the new amino acids. The first one is selenocysteine. If we see the picture on the left side, there are three structures of amino acids: serine, cysteine, and selenocysteine. All of them have the similarity in the structure. The difference is just in one atom. This is serine has oxygen, cysteine has sulfur, and selenocysteine has selenium. So basically, selenocysteine is it's a bit similar with two of the existing amino acids. The nickname of the selenocysteine is SEC or SEC. The initial is U, and it is coded for by UGA or stop codon with help. And the molecular weight is 168 gram per mole. And the specialty of these amino acids is it can oxidize and form crosslinks that are more reversible than cysteine. Why? Because selenocysteine has the bigger atom size. So the electron on the cysteine is can be loose and gain again more easily than oxygen or the cysteine. So it has the oxidation properties. It has good oxidation properties. And the second one is the pyrrolysine. Pyrrolysine is the amino acid which has it is a relative big for an amino acid. It has molecular weight 255 gram per mole. The nickname is PYR, PYR, and then the initial is O, and it is coded for by an UAG codon with help. Again, it is a stop codon, which is normally not going to translate it into the pyrrolysine. And the pyrrolysine is made of lysines. So it is actually made of two molecules of lysines. Two molecules of lysine will combine together and form pyrrolysine. Next, I will tell you about the story of discovery of selenocysteine. In the mid-60s, it was accepted that only one codon, which is AUG, that had dual sense. It can mean the initiation of the protein synthesis and then the methionine insertion to the internal protein position. The possibility that another codon can behave like these two is still not considered at that time. Until in 1973, Flohe identified first selenoprotein in mammals in form of glutathione peroxidase. And the unique of this event is that selenoprotein has selenium. Selenium is not contained in any amino acids in that time. And this is the mechanism of glutathione peroxidase to reduce the hydrogen peroxide into water. The selenium has the main role to reduce the hydrogen peroxide. After that, in 1986, Chambers reported the sequence and the structure of the GSHPX gene, found that the selenocysteine is encoded by UAG or stop codon. Until this discovery, many researchers tried to get to know about what is the mechanism of the translation if the selenocysteine is coded by UAG, because it is very unique. It is usually a stop codon, but it will translate into selenocysteine. And this is the discovery of pyrrolysine. Pyrrolysine was first discovered by Howe in 2002 when analyzing methanogen methyltransferase in Archaeobacteria methanosarcina barkeri. It is involved, this amino acid is involved in the process of methanogenesis in this bacteria. And this amino acid is inserted into the protein during translation at the inframe codon UAG. Still, it is a stop codon, although it is still unclear how the stop codon is reassigned to the sense one. In this in-house experiment, he found that there was a new structure of amino acids which can be seen in the right side. It is the reading of the structure of amino acids. It is different from any amino acids, any existing amino acids. And this is the next is the source of selenocysteine. Selenocysteine is non-essential amino acid for human. Why I could say that it is non-essential? Because although selenium cannot be made by our body, but if there are enough seleniums in our body can make the selenocysteine like that. So the requirement of the body to make selenocysteine is enough. There are enough seleniums in our body, and the source of the seleniums is meat and seafood. And most selenium in animal tissue is present as selenomethionine. The structure of selenomethionine is on the picture on the slide. It is a little bit different with selenocysteine. It differs in the carbon, in the amount of CH2, and then the methyl present, which is substitute to the hydrogen atom. And the meat varies in selenium content depending largely on the selenomethionine intake of the animal. So this is the recommended dietary allowance for selenium from the babies to the elderly, which in the scale of the micrograms. And this is the source of pyrrolysine. Until now, based on what I read, pyrrolysine is only found in Archaea in the family of Methanosarcinaceae. Member of this group can use the methylamines as precursor to methane, so it is involved in the methanogenesis. And this enzyme, which consists of pyrrolysine, can convert the trimethylamine, dimethylamine, or monomethylamine to be the needed compound, which is the methane, CO2, and CL-C, in the form of the enzyme MTTMB, MTBB, and MTTB. The mechanism is like in the picture. And this is the process of synthesis of selenocysteine. Selenocysteine is incorporated when the mRNA being translated includes a seches. Seches is selenocysteine insertion sequence element, which causes the UGA codon to encode selenocysteine instead of the stop codon. If you can see the scheme of the mechanism of the synthesis of selenocysteine on the picture on the left side, on the right side. So the concept is mischarging the tRNA with serine, and then after serine insertion, we can swap the serine, or we can swap the oxygen atom on the serine to be the selenium. And this is the illustration, the detailed illustration of the mechanism of synthesis of selenocysteine. The first one, there is an unloaded tRNA, and then we charge the tRNA with the serine by the help of serial tRNA synthetase enzyme. After that, the serial moiety is converted to phosphoserine by O-phosphoseryl tRNA kinase, or PSTK, to form O-phosphoseryl tRNA. This one is the OH functional group is converted to the phosphate group. After that, the selenocysteine synthase then use the phosphoseryl tRNA and the active donor of selenium, or it's called the selenophosphate, to form the selenocysteine tRNA complex. But to get into this compound, the selenium should be converted to selenophosphate first by the help of selenophosphate synthase 2, or SPS2. So it can swap the phosphate functional group on the complex before to be the selenium. And after that, this molecule can get into the ribosome to insert the selenocysteine to the protein synthesis. And this is the synthesis of pyrrolysine. Pyrrolysine is made of 2 molecules of lysine. The involved enzyme is encoded by PIL-TS-BCD genes, which is only found in this Archaebacteria which I mentioned before. So the process is started by 2 molecules of lysine. One of the molecule of lysine will be methylated by the help of PIL-B and SAM, or S-adenosyl methionine. After getting methylated, the methylated ones will react with the non-methylated lysines, and it combines together by the help of enzyme PIL-C and ATP to form the 3-methyl deornithyl NL lysines. After that, the amine part of the lysines in the terminal amine will be converted to the aldehyde by the help of enzyme PIL-D. After that, it will undergo the spontaneous reaction to be cyclicized to form the L-pyrrolysines. And after that, the L-pyrrolysine will be charged into the tRNA by the help of the enzyme PIL-S plus ATP. And this is the metabolism of selenocysteine. If we eat meat or seafood which contain selenomethionine, the selenomethionine should be degraded first to get the selenite, which is needed in the selenocysteine synthesis. The process to convert selenomethionine to selenite is called the transsulfuration pathway. Selenomethionine can also be converted to methylselenol by the help of methionine, but it is not common because the enzyme limitation. So this is the flow chart of the reaction. Selenomethionine will be converted to selenoadenosyl methionine, and then selenoadenosyl homocysteine, and the last is the selenohomocysteine. After that, selenohomocysteine will be converted to selenocystathionine by the help of cystathionine beta synthase. After that, the selenocystathionine will be converted to selenocysteine by the help of cystathionine beta lyase. And then the selenocysteine will be converted to selenite before it can be used in the protein synthesis. And this is the role of selenoprotein in the mammals or human. Selenoproteins have many functions, and several of them are involved in antioxidant defense, such as the glutathione peroxidase, which can protect cells against peroxidative damage by reducing hydrogen peroxide and free fatty acid hydroperoxides. And another family member of glutathione peroxides, which is phospholipid hydroperoxide glutathione peroxides, can reduce phospholipid, cholesterol, and cholesterol ester hydroperoxides to protect the cells against membrane lipid peroxidation. And GPX can also play a structural role in mitochondrial capsule by mature spermatozoa, which it can protect this mature spermatozoa from by oxidating by building a cross-link and inactive. So a lack of the selenium or selenoprotein, which can be responsible to male infertility. And in mammals, three distinct mammalian thioredoxin reductase function in cellular redox homeostasis by reducing thioredoxin and other substrate. And other oxidoreductase can contain selenocysteine, include the family of deiodinase, which are involved in thyroid hormone metabolism, and selenophosphate synthase 2 or SPS2, which is needed in the synthesis of selenium of the translation of selenocysteine, because it can convert it can provide the selenium donor for selenocysteine biosynthesis. So the conclusion are, the first is new amino acids, selenocysteine and pyrrolysines, are coded by stop codon UGA and UAG, which is modified by several mechanisms to behave as sense codon. Selenocysteine can be found in all domains of life. Meanwhile, the pyrrolysin can only be found in some methanoogenic archaea and bacteria. And the last is selenocysteine is involved in a variety of biological process in the form of selenoprotein or selenoenzyme, while pyrrolysin's role is in our body still has not been reported yet. And these are the reference which I used to make this presentation. So this is the end of my presentation. Thank you. And I will be open for the question. Ms. Filia.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much, Dimas, for such a comprehensive presentation. So today we have learned about the two newest amino acid, newest proteinogenic amino acids, that is selenocysteine and pyrrolysine, that is uniquely coded by the stop codon, and apparently it plays such an important role in our body. Okay, so maybe after this we'll go to the discussion section. Is there anyone of you that want to ask questions to Dimas? Okay, Mr. Guzman, please.
Okay, thank you to Mr. Dimas for explanation. It was a good presentation, I think. And there's a question based on the presentation that you explained today. My question is it okay if our body doesn't have enough selenium to make selenocysteine? And what would happen if we got selenocysteine deficiency in our body? That's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for Mr. Gusman for the question. I will answer it directly. So based on what I found, low selenium content in our body have been associated with numerous diseases such as viral infection, thyroid function, reproduction dysfunction, mood disorder, and cardiovascular disease. Because many of these enzyme in our body is categorized as selenoprotein, which is constructed by selenocysteine. And in my presentation, there is selenoprotein is involved in the protective damage to protect the cell against peroxidative damage. And after that, it is involved in the maturation of protection of the mature spermatozoa. So the male infertility can also be seen in selenium deficiency, like that. Is it still unclear, Mr. Gusman? Is it enough?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dimas.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay. So for the selenium itself, actually we need it just a little in our body, so it's classified as micronutrients, right? And beside that, besides we gain it from our diet, like Mr. Dimas has been explained to us, our body also has the cellular mechanism to maintain the exact concentration, like the homeostasis mechanism, something like that. So since we need it only in a small amount, so I think the deficiency of selenium will be very rare, I think, in our body. Okay, thank you, Mr. Dimas and Mr. Gusman for the question and answer. Maybe for the next student. Okay, Mr. Adinal.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. I have two questions regarding the topics. First one, does pyrrolysine is edible for human and what's the reason? And second one is, where does the selenium metal located in the GPX enzyme, and is it in an active site or non-active site? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Radinal, for the question. For the pyrrolysine, is it edible? Pyrrolysine itself can only be found in the archaea bacteria. So based on what I found, there are still not enough report to answer this question, because there are I still looking for the metabolism of pyrrolysine in our bodies, because the source itself is not in the living nature or the living stocks like the cow or meat or fish like that. So it is maybe it is rarely get into our body like that. And for the second question, the selenium atom, what is it in the active site or not? Wait. This is the selenocysteine, the glutathione peroxidase. So the selenocysteine will be on the active site. It has the role to reduce the hydrogen peroxide into the water. Because of the specialty of the selenocysteine, of the selenium atom, it can be oxidized easily and get the reverse reaction easily too. So it will be in the active site of this glutathione peroxidase. Is it enough, Mr. Radinal?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dimas.
Yeah, okay, thank you for the answer, Mr. Dimas. Yeah, as Mr. Dimas said, that the reaction for the glutathione peroxidase is selenium dependent, so it has to be on the binding site of the enzyme, not in the conserved region that is usually far from the binding site. Okay, next question, maybe from another student, maybe from Miss Feli or Miss Anissa. Yeah, please, you can, yeah.
Thank you for the opportunity. I want to ask Mr. Dimas about why selenomethiamine should be degraded to be selenite before going to further synthesis. I think
Okay, thank you, Miss Anissa. So the question is, why selenite should be degraded? Why selenomethane should be degraded into selenite? Yes, is it the question?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you for the question, Miss Anissa. The selenomethionine should be degraded into selenite because the synthesis of selenocysteine. Sorry, I will show you the slide. So the synthesis of, so the insertion or the charging of tRNA to selenocysteine, this process of this insertion of selenium ion involve the enzyme called selenophosphate synthase 2. And the substrate of the selenophosphate synthase 2 is selenite. The selenite will be converted to selenophosphate. So before used in our body, the selenomethionine should be degraded first to the selenite, because selenite can be converted to the selenophosphate, and selenophosphate can get into the complex of tRNA selenocysteine in this picture. Is it clear? Is it enough, Miss Anissa?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dimas.
Yeah, thank you for the question.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much for the question and answer. Okay, so I want to ask actually, are the selenocysteine and pyrrolysine will incorporated into the same pathway as the amino acid metabolism pathway, just like the other amino acids?
Thank you, Miss, for the question. I still cannot confirm it, Miss. Sorry, because based on what I understand, actually protein will be degraded into amino acid first, just same as the other protein in our body, except it is bind into the something or some molecules which cannot be degraded. I don't know what is the example, but my logic is that if the protein exists in the natural way, it will be degraded in our digestion system into the amino acid, and after this amino acids has been degraded, it will be converted based on the type of the amino acids, like that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, thank you for the answer. Yeah, so the reason why I'm curious about that is, as you know, that amino acid will be further be degraded in the Urea cycle, like we have learned the other day. And yeah, I just want to know if whether the selenocysteine and pyrrolysine will undergo the same pathway as the remaining amino acid, something like that. Yeah, because as you know, from the Urea cycle, the degraded amino acid will be synthesized back into the protein to form another amino acid and something like that in the regulation. So we'll close this class for today, and I will see you all on this Saturday on our public lecture. And don't forget to register for the event. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Miss.
Thank you, Miss.
Thank you.